I'm joined here today with Andrew Pavick, the Managing Director of ILI.
Thanks very much for that introduction, Brian. Today we're going to give you an overview of the 7 steps in respect to business succession and exit strategies in tough times. And the first session that we're looking at is client understanding. Now, who better to talk about client understanding than another advisor? So, Brian.
The first part of the module covers client understanding. And here we're going to discover the type of client, how to source the right client, what parties are involved, who are the service providers, and finally, the very exciting method of engagement. Now, all of this is covered in the first module. Let's now have a look at what it means, or what we mean by client understanding. It's not sufficient anymore to have a maybe understanding. In fact, under corporate law, under Section 945A, it's required that an advisor understand each and every unique aspect of that client. And until now, there hasn't been the correct discovery tool. What's really exciting is that ILI have developed the most sophisticated tool I have come across. Andrew, an advisor has to work with someone that they can add significant value to. In fact, they should never engage with a client unless they can add significant value from their advice process. So the type of client they should be dealing with is certainly someone that is geographically within their radius. I recommend within 10 kilometres of their office. Then it needs to work within a demographic. And by that I mean an advisor can offer so much more expertise if he's dealing within the same type of client. And by that I mean they may be specialising in franchisees, they may be specialising in members of the medical profession, maybe specialising in engineers. Their job becomes so much easier if they are specialists. For years, I practiced as a general practitioner advisor. I was trying to be all things to all people. And when I finally realised that in order for me to earn the kind of money that was required to maintain both my lifestyle and balance, I needed to work with less people and charge higher fees.
Brian, why is it important for you to understand how you sourced your client?
Andrew, that's the livelihood of our business. I've only got so many hours in the day. I've only got so many days in the week that I choose to work. So I only want to work with those types of clients that I can add significant value. And within a 10 square kilometre radius of my office, right now, there's acres of diamonds. Acres of diamonds, and I just need to find those gems that I can add that significant value to. And I'm just so excited that with the tools that we have developed here at ILI, it's going to make that job so much easier. Well, referrals come so much easier. Professionals such as accountants and solicitors and other centres of influence such as members of associations and chambers of commerce and small business associations will readily refer people to you if they understand that you have the speciality and the expertise in a given area that will significantly help their clients. The referrals just roll in the door. Andrew, we need to understand who makes the decisions. Who is the decision maker? Is it the person that you're dealing with, or is it another member in the organisation that ultimately makes the decisions? That's who you should be talking to.
Just on that point, Brian, is it a difference between working with principals in a professional practice as against a family business?
Andrew, absolutely. Absolutely. The dynamics change for a start. And this is why the discovery tool has to capture the right information. Invariably, it's a very emotional issue in a family business, especially if there is perhaps children from previous marriages, or there's intergenerational family members. an uncle employing his nephews, for example. There are those sorts of dynamics that need to be talked through. And different members of the family have a different understanding that has never been expressed most of the time, a different understanding of how they think the business should be handled in the event of an exit or a death or a liquidation. Totally different. So you need to get those family members in the room. Now similarly, if it is an enterprise that is jointly owned by several stakeholders, all businessmen, again, there is a different dynamic working here. They may appear on the face to be in unison in making the project work, but perhaps off to one side, they each have their own idea of how it should all work. Very, very important to understand that in a family business, it's intergenerational typically. And this is growing more and more in Australia. Most small to medium businesses don't see past 3 years, but a lot of businesses now are choosing to create a legacy. And perhaps this is really the secret of what they want in their wealth accumulation, is that they want that wealth that they're building up in that business to go on for several generations. But perhaps the person that you're talking to is not the decision maker. In fact, he may not even be active in the business anymore. So it's very, very important to get those people all together in the same room on the same page. I had a situation last year where the managing director of the company that we were talking to, and a very engaging man, it turned out, of course, that his mother and father owned the land that the factory stood on, and that the mother and father had formed a family trust, and the family trust owned the factory. And he kept talking in first person about my business. So then it was very, very important to understand that when we moved back and opened up the dynamic, it was like Pandora's box, that the problem became so much bigger, because then we had to find out who were all the parties in the family trust and who ultimately would earn the right to inherit the land. So the solution here was using the ILI Discovery Guide enabled us to formulate the correct advice to the correct people, and it made the job so much more simple.
What about the situation of dealing with the client's trusted advisors?
Andrew, we call that here at ILI the three amigos. In order to provide the sort of service that we're talking about to the client, we do need to engage with their accountant and with their solicitor. Now, at first that may appear a bit daunting, but don't worry, we give you all of the tools that enable you to properly engage with both the solicitor and the accountant, because that team is working to achieve the right outcome for the client. The accountant's very, very excited because sometimes there's going to be the need to implement perhaps a family trust, a self-managed superannuation fund, an estate plan. So their fees for both the solicitor and the accountant are going to be added on to. But it's very, very important that the advisor take control. Very important. I can't stress this enough, that the advisor take control of the process. They need to project manage what will become, on the face of it, a complicated issue that we've been able to make simple through understanding the diagrams and the processes that we follow. It sounds very complicated, it's not, and it's very easily taught. And one of the tools that's been developed is a client engagement tool. Now this is really exciting because it enables you to position your expertise. And by expertise, I don't necessarily mean that you show them that you have a degree if you have one, or you're a CPD, or you have a diploma in financial planning, and perhaps you haven't done your advanced diploma yet, but you're working towards it with ILI. Not that sort of expertise. I'm explaining to the client that I have expertise in the area of business financial planning, and I am a specialist in this area. As an advisor, you can choose to be all things to all people. And if you're capable of doing that, you have my compliments. A lot of advisors have a good grasp and a good understanding of being a project manager. For example, within a financial plan, a business financial plan, there is going to be the need for some insurance solutions. Now, you may choose to do that work yourself, you may choose to employ someone within your practice to do that, or you may outsource that. Similarly, there's going to be a need for a self-managed superannuation fund to be set up. Once again, you may choose, because of your knowledge, to specialise in that, or you can outsource it. But quite frankly, the client is looking to you to take control of the overall project, and they don't mind at all that if you bring other people with other expertise in to complement the entire solution. In the past, it's because it's been complicated, and it's been complicated from the beginning because advisors have difficulty having a starting point. Now, what ILI has done is developed what I think is just the most exciting discovery tool that then leads the advisor and the client down a path using very, very simple to understand illustrations to those solutions. And so what we've done is we've taken a very complicated issue and simplified it. And so the process runs very, very smoothly. And so the concept of plug and play is that we have developed the tools so that once the client understands the problem, it's very, very simple then to implement the solution and populate it straight into your statement of advice. So in summary, at the end of Module 1, Understanding Your Client, you will be able to understand the type of client that we're dealing with. More importantly, you'll be able to understand how to source the right type of client. You'll be able to identify the correct party involved in the transaction. And more importantly now, you'll be able to engage with these clients correctly. At the end of Module 1, you would have already learnt sufficient for you to even start earning in this most exciting business.